No one was supposed to know about this hidden field, but when 16-year-old Tom flew his drone over the unknown piece of land, he couldn't believe what he saw. Fueled by curiosity, he decided to investigate, a decision he would later regret. But before we dive into the story, make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our exciting stories. That afternoon, Tom's 7-year-old sister Stella joined him as he flew the drone around town. They started in the town square, but soon the drone hovered miles away, over a mysterious field neither of them had seen before. "Whoa, what is that?" Stella asked, noticing something strange on the screen. Tom, distracted, wasn't paying attention at first. When he finally looked, he was just as shocked as Stella. The field was filled with odd, unfamiliar objects. Without hesitation, Tom jumped up and decided they should check it out in person. Despite Stella's protests, she reluctantly followed. They drove in silence until they reached the field. As they approached, Stella noticed rows of broken-down containers nearly swallowed by weeds and dirt. The sight filled her with fear. She called for Tom, but he had already wandered off. She gathered her courage and followed his path, but the field felt like a maze. Strange shadows moved, and the wind made the containers creak ominously. Stella's heart raced as she tried to find her brother. Suddenly, Tom jumped out from behind a container, scaring Stella. She burst into tears, and Tom quickly apologized, realizing his prank had gone too far. Tom felt guilty for scaring his little sister and quickly consoled her. Stella, still shaken, insisted they leave, but Tom hesitated. His curiosity about the containers gnawed at him. Despite the fear in Stella's eyes, she noticed her brother's excitement and, after a moment, agreed to take one last look, but only if they stuck together. Hand in hand, they cautiously approached the containers again. As they walked, Tom noticed something unusual. One container wasn't chained. "Look, Stella," he whispered, pointing to the door. Stella hesitated but agreed to check it out together. They stepped closer, nerves on edge. The closer they got, the more unsettling the field became. The wind howled through the containers, and shadows danced between them, amplifying their fears. Tom tried to open the container, but Stella's anxiety was growing. "Maybe we should go home," she said, her voice trembling. Tom, however, couldn't let it go. "We haven't even discovered what we came for," he replied, urging her to give him a little more time. Stella reluctantly agreed, but only on the condition that he wouldn't leave her side. As they ventured deeper into the field, Stella stayed close, her fear slowly giving way to curiosity. Tom's excitement overrode his caution, and the siblings explored further, growing bolder with each step. As they moved through the maze of containers, the eerie atmosphere seemed less threatening. Tom's protective nature kept Stella calm, and together they navigated the strange, overgrown area. Each locked container they passed raised more questions in Tom's mind, but neither of them could have predicted what lay ahead. Suddenly, they found a container with a broken lock. Tom's heart raced with excitement. "This is it," he whispered, pulling Stella closer as they cautiously approached. Stella, nervous but trusting her brother, followed. Tom slowly opened the container door, its hinges creaking ominously. Inside, the beam from his flashlight revealed a cluttered mess of forgotten objects. At first, it seemed like nothing more than an abandoned storage unit. But as Tom ventured further inside, he stumbled upon something that made his stomach drop. A pile of discarded toxic waste hidden from the world. Just as they started to grasp the magnitude of what they had uncovered, the distant sound of sirens filled the air, sending a shock of fear through Stella. "Tom, we need to leave," she said urgently, pulling at his arm. Tom hesitated for a moment, torn between his curiosity and the danger they now faced. But the approaching sirens and the fear in Stella's eyes made the choice for him. "Let's go," he said, rushing her toward the car. As they hurried back to the car, the sound of sirens grew louder, heightening Stella's panic. She rushed to open the car door, her hands trembling, but Tom hesitated, glancing back at the containers one last time. The mystery of the toxic waste gnawed at him, but his sister's safety came first. Just as they were about to drive off, Tom's phone rang. It was their mother. Her voice was frantic with worry. "Where are you two? I've been calling for hours." Tom, trying to remain calm, reassured her they were fine and on their way home. But the reality of their adventure was starting to sink in. The drive back was silent, both of them lost in their thoughts. Stella's fear began to return, and Tom's guilt weighed heavily on him. What had started as a thrilling adventure had turned into something far more dangerous than they had anticipated. They had stumbled upon something they weren't supposed to see, and now they both knew the consequences could be serious. When they finally arrived home, their mother's relief was mixed with anger. "Why didn't you answer my calls? I was about to call the police," she scolded them. Tom and Stella exchanged sheepish glances, realizing just how much worry they had caused. They promised to never let it happen again. But the weight of their discovery lingered in the air. The following days brought a mix of emotions for Tom and Stella. They couldn't shake the gravity of what they had uncovered in that field. The toxic waste hidden in those containers had been dangerous, and now they had a secret weighing on their minds. Tom, always the more adventurous one, tried to brush it off, but he couldn't forget what he had seen. Stella, on the other hand, grew more anxious. She started having trouble sleeping, her thoughts haunted by the dangers they had narrowly escaped. Even during the day, her once adventurous spirit was clouded by fear, and the excitement of the discovery faded into unease. Their mother, sensing the tension between them, began setting stricter boundaries. No more unsupervised outings, no more sneaking off on their own. Tom understood her concern but couldn't shake the pull to return to the field, to understand what exactly they had stumbled upon. One evening, as they sat quietly at home, a local news story aired about an investigation into illegal toxic dumping. The field of containers was now a crime scene. Authorities had discovered the toxic waste, which had been linked to environmental damage in the area. It was clear now that Tom and Stella's adventure had accidentally uncovered a major environmental crime. The realization hit hard. They had been in real danger that day, and their discovery had set off a chain of events far bigger than they could have imagined. The news of the toxic waste investigation spread quickly, and the once hidden field became the center of attention in their town. Tom and Stella couldn't escape the questions from friends and neighbors about where they had been that day. Tom, trying to protect their secret, gave vague answers, but Stella struggled to keep quiet. The weight of what they had found pressed on her, and she often found herself lost in thought, replaying their adventure in her mind. Despite the unease, the siblings had formed an unspoken bond from their shared experience. Tom, now more aware of the danger he had put them in, grew protective of his sister. He reassured her when the anxiety became too much, reminding her that they had made it out safely. Still, both knew they were lucky to have escaped unharmed. Meanwhile, the police investigation into the illegal dumping expanded. It was revealed that a local company had been secretly disposing of hazardous materials for years, hoping no one would find out. Tom and Stella had unknowingly uncovered a crime that could have had devastating consequences for the environment and the community. Their mother, though relieved that they were safe, couldn't shake her anger at how careless they had been. She reminded them often of the danger they had put themselves in, but deep down, she was proud that their discovery had helped the authorities. For Tom and Stella, the adventure had ended differently than they had expected, but it had changed them forever. They now understood the importance of responsibility, not just to themselves but to the world around them.